Ratin and Shrija. Absolutely appreciate this invite. And if you are in front of us, we can't help but smile. Love you guys. All right. But hey, Lina, absolutely fired up and excited to be just sharing a few thoughts with you. We are Jonathan Asha from Atlanta. Let's dive in. I know you guys are excited. I've been seeing all those photographs, and people have been sending me all the excitement. The whole event is just starting. All right. So the best is yet to come. All right. So before we jump into the big part later on, let's talk a little bit about the skill set building. Okay, you already heard it many times. Many people have been talking to you about it. You got to be building your people skills, your communication skills, your leadership skills. That's awesome advice. That's perfect. But it's just the beginning. That's the surface. What most people miss is digging deeper, trying to understand the why, the how, and the what behind those skills. All right. And hopefully today, we'll be able to pull all of these things together and help you connect those dots. Because here's the truth. In this business, if you want to earn a lot of money, you've got to bring value to the table. And your value comes from the skills you build in this business, period. Okay. If you want me to give you an example, simple. Let's take an NBA basketball, that the one they play on the court, right? And you watch it on TV. You give it to me in my hands. What is it worth? Maybe $200. I think that's the cost of it. But in the hands of Stephen Curry, it is hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the difference. He's worked on his skills and he's monetizing it. That's not my goal of telling you to go and play basketball, but let's talk about this business.
True that. Hey, everybody. Asha here. Just excited to talk to all of you. We were just listening to all the speakers that have shared such incredible information already tonight. And we hope that you're not just excited. Of course, you're excited, but I hope you're studying all of this. I hope you're taking notes. You're recording it so you could listen to it for yourself. I hope that you're taking all the messages so you can start implementing them, right? Julian and I, we want to talk a little bit about skill set development. And I know when I first looked at this business, not just myself, I'm sure you get this. People say this is not my cup of tea or my cup of coffee. You hear people say those things, right? I remember looking at this and being like, okay, am I going to be able to create success in this, right? Wasn't sure how, didn't know how. And what I really fell in love with was this was not a talent I had to bring to the table. It was a skill set that I could develop. Learning comes before earning. My upline always says that. Rashmi Smith always talk about that, right? Learning comes before earning. Now, how much of yourself are you dedicating, to learn everything that is required in the business? So we want to talk to you a little bit about embracing the learning curve, right? Learning is not flashy. It's non-glamorous. It's the work behind the scenes. Nobody wants to do it. But it is that learning and the things that you do behind closed doors that is going to help you build the business and build your company and make money, right? If I think back upon my journey, I've had so many awkward moments earlier on in my business, whether it be talking to somebody about the products, whether it be talking to somebody about my coaches, whether it be about talking to somebody about the business plan, right? I've had such awkward moments. And in those moments, it seemed like it was the end of the world. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to ever live through this? But looking back, 20 years into the business, looking back, those were the experiences that actually helped me develop my skill set. Those were the things that helped me develop a backbone so I could actually go on to building a company and I could actually help people in my organization. Now, you choose your growth path, right? You can either learn through mistakes or you can learn through mentorship. And if you can learn from both mistakes and mentorship, that's a perfect combination. Right? Guys, I want you to understand, where else are you going to find someone that is going to take time from their life, right? Their family, their business, and actually come pour into you. I'm working with a few IBOs now, and a couple of them that I've been working with, we've had this banter, we've had this conversation. Hey, Asha, you don't know if I'm going to go on to building this business in a big way. Why are you still taking time and serving me? You're driving the miles for me. You're taking time away from your kids and doing appointments for me. Like, how does this thing work? This IBO is trying to figure this thing out. And I was just telling them, you know what? I remember my upline doing that. I see my upline continuing to do that, pour into our life, right? It's like a farmer, right? When a farmer sows some seeds, They're not looking at the seed and going like, hey, is this seed the one that's going to grow? They're literally just putting the seeds out there. Some seeds are gonna, not take root. Some the birds are gonna eat away. Some the rain's gonna take away with it. But some are going to grow, right? When I understood that my upline was taking time, my coach was taking time from their life, and they were willing to help me, I figured that if I just followed their footsteps, right? If I just watched, what they were doing, and I started to implement those things, that I could build my skill set, right? And that is what we want you to do. We want you to embrace that journey. We want you to be able to learn from your mistakes. And we also want you to learn through mentorship. And learning through mentorship will come where your coach is actually modeling things for you. If you're new, you're going to see your coach come in and help you build your list. They're going to sit down with you. They're going to brainstorm with you. They're going to help you through that process. As they do that, they might also help you, with the budgeting, with the ditto sessions, maybe doing a product brand awareness session. They're going to do these different things. Your goal is to see how they're doing it, what they're saying, but not just how they're doing and what they're saying. It's what's the mindset behind what they're doing. When you can understand the mindset, what's going to happen is when you go from the passenger seat into the driver's seat and you actually get to a point where you're starting to put in activity, what's going to happen is the words that your upline was using, your coach was using, it's going to be a resounding thing in the back of your mind. Not only are you going to be able to regurgitate it, which is not something that we want you to do. You don't want to do verbatim what your coach has done. But if you can understand their mindset, you're going to be able to go ahead and put in the work. And now you're going to go through different scenarios, because we can do huddle coach, right? We can go huddle, play huddle. We can do that thing, but we're not going to be able to prepare anybody for all the different experiences, right? But if you can understand the mindset that your coach brings to the table, and now you start to put in the work yourself, what's going to happen is you're going to go through multiple different scenarios, and now you're going to start finding your true north. You'll figure out how to answer certain things, right? I pray that a lot of you get a lot of difficult questions earlier on in the business, because if you get those difficult questions and you're able to handle those difficult questions, your journey later on actually becomes very, very easy, right? Skill comes from action, putting in a lot of work. Go out there and make a lot of mistakes, right? The more mistakes you make, the better equipped you are at growing. I remember someone in the business saying that when when you launch somebody, when you put somebody through a process and you launch someone, or when you're starting to talk to somebody about a product and you actually make a sale, your business grew. But when you talk to somebody and they did not get launched, right? Or when you tried to talk to a friend of yours and they didn't buy a product, right? Now you're growing, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to kind of make a lot of mistakes earlier on. And guys, you know what? You don't need anybody's permission to start to do work. Don't wait for the perfect moment. I'd rather have you go do 100 process appointments imperfectly than wait to do the one perfectly, because that 100 is always going to be better than that one perfect one that you're going to do, right? I know Joland always talks about this, with our children and also with our IBOs, right? When you do something the 10th time, it is going to be better than what you did for the first time. The sad part, the truth is, you can't get to the 10th appointment without going through the first 9 imperfect ones, right? So just be willing to do a lot, make a lot of mistakes, fail forward, right? Fall in love with the process as you're developing skills. And he'll talk a little bit about what skills to develop, but fall in love with the process. You see the 30-day core run, you see books, you see all of these events. They're designed to help you grow. If you fall in love with the process of learning the journey, you're not going to be upset at the results that you're not creating in the short term. Guys, this business is designed to give you long-term wealth. So if you learn everything and you start to put in the work, initially you might not see a lot of money. You will be profitable, you'll make money, but you might not see a lot of money, which is okay. But if you learn everything and you start to implement those things long-term, you are going to be able to create the success that you're looking for. And then the last couple of things that I'll tell you before I give it to Jolan is having a strong feedback loop, right? Not just with your coach. As you're starting to do activity, I hope you've built a good enough relationship with your coach where you're constantly picking up the phone and you're talking to them so they're able to correct you, right? Don't wait to, don't do 20, 30, 40 appointments and not create success and be like, oh, I'll figure it out. It's a numbers game. I like that it's a numbers game, but it's also a skill set game. So if you don't have to go through a whole lot of numbers, if you're willing to have that feedback loop with your coach. And not only a feedback loop with your coach, also having a little bit of self-reflection and tracking on a regular daily basis. Hey, what did I do that worked? What did I do that did not work? How do I make this better? Not to overanalyze it, but to be able to do certain things to fix it so the next appointment is better than the one that you just did. And then the last thing I'll tell you is this: play to win, not just to show up. You're here at the event. I hope you're not doing something in the background and listening to this on the sidebar. When you are sitting at a Zoom meeting, I hope you're fully attentive. You're taking notes, you're writing things down, you're learning from people's experiences. Because if you show up with the intentionality of winning, every little nugget, every single statement that you heard the speaker say are going to make an impact, and you're going to be able to draw on that information as you go out and build your company. We're super proud of you. I'm going to give it to Joel, and then he's going to talk a little bit more about skill set building.
Wow, those were incredible nuggets on how do you build a skill set, right? Those minute details that you want to focus on. Just wanted to add one more thing to that. Energy will always amplify your skill set. What do I mean by that, right? When you build your skill set and you are now talking to somebody about the business or talking about product to somebody, right? Skill without energy, you will get ignored. Think about it. Have you seen somebody who's very skilled and they're so monotonous, they're talking like this, you will ignore them, you will walk away, right? Energy, a highly energetic person, you have do excess and you start shouting about the product, the business, but without any skill set, you talk all nonsense. That energy will get wasted. Nobody will understand what you're talking about. But when you combine the two, skill set with energy, they will be attentive, they will be listening. That's influence. Okay. So make sure you take care of all of these. Now let's jump into more of the different skills that you really need to master, like people skills, right? In this business, mastering relationship is key to excelling in network marketing. What are the things you want to focus on, right? Active listening. That's one of the things in people skills. Pay full attention when someone is talking. Nod, paraphrase, ask questions to just show genuine interest, right? Empathy. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. Understand their needs and emotions, before you even offer solutions. We are so quick at offering solutions because we know all the answers. But empathize first. Build a trust. How do you do that? Be consistent, be reliable, be authentic. People will invest in relationships they trust. When they trust you, they will want to invest in the relationship with you. Be adaptable. Okay, adjust your approach based on different personalities. Some people have a different personality than what you're used to. You will have to adapt. Okay, there are many tools. I don't have time to go into those, but you have at hand your mentors, your coaches who will guide you on what you can do to increase your people skills. Okay, and a pro tip over here, one of the most basic ones, the foundational one for developing your people skills. Start practicing how to and memorizing the names and the small personal details. It makes the other people feel valued. Okay, that's going to be the most foundational one. Then there's communication skills. What do you learn in that, right? Clear and persuasive communication is absolutely vital. When you are explaining opportunities or presenting ideas or the products, you've got to be making an elevator pitch. Okay, make it benefit driven. Focus on the value proposition. Listen to what they are talking about and make sure that when you're proposing something to them, you have that at the center of your talk. Okay. Whenever you're telling stories also, right, about your experiences, share real engaging ones about maybe your products helping others, or some testimonies, or stories about just your experiences, right? They want to know what you've been through, but make sure they're genuine. Otherwise, it'll show up in your eyes. Okay. The non-verbal communication. Be mindful of your body language. Right? Very important. Smile. Maintain a good posture. Don't be drowsy. Don't be like this. Right. Make steady eye contact. Whenever you're talking to somebody, try to look in their eyes, not at their hair, not at their chin, not at their nose, not over there, not over there, at their eyes. But don't be staring like this. Right. These are non-verbal ones. Guys, I can't go into all the details over here, but I hope you get the point, right? Then one of the communication skills that comes to mind is asking questions. Instead of just jumping in and telling them what the whole solution is here, ask them something open-ended. What inspires you, or what exactly are you looking for? And let them talk, let them feel heard. Because when you listen to them and you paraphrase it, they know you are on the same page. Okay. And at the end of the day, even in when you get the objections, you handle them gracefully. Reframe the objections as opportunities, by empathizing and then sharing relevant solutions. So they may be talking about, oh, I've heard about this or that. Now, hey, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had heard the same thing, but when I did more research, this is what I found out. Get on their side and talk about your experience. Okay. How do you become really good at communicating? Record yourself. Listen to it again and again. Listen for the improvements in tone, the clarity, the enthusiasm. Ask yourself, if someone were to tell me all of this, would I be sold out to it? Would I be interested, or would I just shut them down and walk away? Something to think about. Leadership skills. This is a huge one. We can have hours and hours of talk on this, and the best person to listen to is Rashmi and Smita. They'll talk a lot about it, but here are the nuggets over here. As a network marketer, you'll need to inspire and guide teams. Okay, you have to inspire them through vision sharing. Paint a picture of what's possible. Yeah, this business is difficult, right? It's not that easy, but we can get to this point, and when we do, it's going to be amazing. Paint the picture. Do you believe in it? They have to see it within you. Then lead by example, right? You want to be the role model. You want to have the right ethics, the positivity, the consistency. As a leader, you want to have all of that. You have to be empowering. You want to focus on coaching rather than micromanaging. Recognize the strengths in individuals. When you see somebody do something well, you put the spotlight on them. You talk about it to others. Now, don't make them golden boys or golden girls, but learn the art of uplifting people in front of others. Okay? That's recognition. Conflict resolution is a big part in leadership skills. You need to make sure you learn how to mediate challenges in your teams by staying neutral. Okay? Listening to both sides and so on and so forth. Okay? The best thing is to study influential leaders like Rashmi and Smita and emulate what they do. Right? Now, you don't have to duplicate exactly what they do, but pick the finer points, and then based on your style, you use it within you. Then the team building skills, that's part of the whole thing. You want to attract the right people. Do not lower your standards just to accommodate the lack of commitment from their side. Okay? Make sure you protect your team by upholding your values. Always. You'll have to learn the retention skills. People will be going through things in their lives. How do you retain them as well? Meet people where they are. Don't keep forcing them. Hey, you got to do 20 process appointments. Oh, yeah, I broke my leg. I can't go on. You got to do 20 process appointments. Dude, listen to where they are at. You go and empathize. Make sure where you keep them in the business. This is going to be key to your success. Can you retain people? That's a skill set you will have to learn. All right. And I can go on and on. She can go on and on. But let me end it with this thought over here.
Before you end, I'll just add this one thing, guys. Everything in terms of skill set that he's talking about, right? Each one of these points is an hour topic, right? So we can't do justice to all of it. But all of these things are not just going to help you in business, they're going to help you in life. They're going to help you have better relationships at home. They're going to help you have better relationships at work. It'll allow for you. I know one of the things that really helped me, look at this business from a point of view where it's adding so much value to me as a person. I can climb the corporate ladder faster because all of these skills, leadership skills, personal development skills, are going to help me at work as well. Right? You are actually going to be an influencer in the true sense of the word influencer. Not the ones that you see on Instagram right now where they're not living the life, but they're sharing the life, but the one that actually is living the life and is able to help other people live life.
All right. And here's the thought. What keeps you comfortable? You broke. With that, we are done. Back to the host.
For the calendar year 2024, the average income from Amway for all U.S. registered IBOs at the Founders Platinum level and below was $723 before expenses. See www.amway.com/income-disclosure for details and the most up-to-date information. Earnings depend on many factors, including customer base, business experience, effort, dedication, and quality and performance of the downline sales team. While the techniques and approaches suggested have worked for others, no one can guarantee that these techniques and approaches will work for you. In addition, we want to emphasize that success in this business does not come without hard work. This is a copyrighted program of Markerman Productions, affiliated with MarkerNet Incorporated. Duplication of this program is strictly prohibited. For existing IBOs only,